The rain crashed down on Amarillo. Himself decided the city needs to be erased. Inside Mel's diner, 14 iron outlaws sit under flickering neon, their leather jackets steaming, their silence carrying more weight than the thunder outside. Then the door swings open. A 10-year-old girl stumbles through it, soaked to the bone, shaking, one eye swollen completely shut, finger-shaped bruises wrapped around her tiny throat like a necklace forged from pure cruelty. She stands there on cracked linoleum, dripping rain and terror onto the floor, while every man in that room turns to stone. When she finally finds her voice, it's barely there at all. My dad did this, and just like that, the night stops being about coffee and road miles. Just like that, it becomes something else entirely, something that looks a lot like war. If you want to know how far a group of hardened men will go to shield one shattered child from a monster wearing a father's face, stay until the very end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels tonight. Grizzly Harper doesn't move for 3 full seconds after the girl speaks. He just kneels there on one knee in front of her, rain running down his silver beard, his eyes locked on hers like he's reading a language no one else in the room can translate. The diner has gone graveyard still. Coffee pots frozen mid-pour, boots stopped mid-step. Even the jukebox seems to hold its breath. The girl's name turns out to be Lily Bennett, though it takes another minute before she whispers it. She's small 4'10", the kind of malnourished small that comes from years of fear strangling the appetite. Her blonde hair hangs in wet ropes around a face that should be freckled and laughing, a face that should belong to someone who hasn't seen anything like this. Instead, it looks like a battlefield. The bruises aren't all fresh. Some have yellowed around the edges, healing in stages, each shade a timestamp through a timeline of horror. Grizzly's voice drops low and careful. Anyone with you, sweetheart? Lily shakes her head. Water traces lines down her face. Rain, maybe tears, probably both. You walk here. A nod. Her lips are going blue from the cold. Without a word, without anyone giving an order, the Iron Outlaws begin to move. Crow, a tall man with scarred knuckles and a surprisingly gentle voice, disappears into the kitchen and returns with a thermal blanket. Dutch, the club's road captain, steps toward the corner already dialing. Trigger walks to the front door and plants himself between Lily and whoever might come through it next. Nobody discusses it. Nobody needs to. This is what they do. Grizzly drapes the blanket over Lily's shoulders, and she flinches so hard he freezes instantly, both hands raised, palms open and empty. Nobody here's going to touch you. You have my word on that. She stares at him with her one working eye. The other has swollen completely shut now, turning deep purple-black under the fluorescent lights. Something in her expression shifts. Not quite trust. More like the first exhausted consideration that trust might be worth trying. Can you tell me what happened? Grizzly keeps his voice barely above a whisper, creating a space that feels separate from everything else. Lily's breathing goes ragged. He was drinking. Mom's been gone 4 years, and he still ... double quotes. Her voice splinters. I broke a glass. Didn't mean to. He said I did it on purpose. Then he just ... She doesn't finish. She doesn't need to. Her face finished the sentence for her. Grizzly's jaw tightens, but his voice stays steady. Where is he now? Home, passed out. She pulls the blanket tighter. I waited until he stopped moving. Then I ran. How far? 2 miles, maybe 3. She ran 3 miles in freezing rain with those injuries. 10 years old. She ran 3 miles through the storm, because staying was worse than everything outside. Grizzly feels something ancient ignite in his chest. The same fire that's kept him on highways for 15 years. The same fire that brought him to this exact diner on this exact night. Redemption doesn't make appointments. It just shows up bleeding in the doorway. Danny Martinez, the night shift waitress, appears carrying hot chocolate and a first aid kit. She's worked Mel's for 6 years and seen her share of rough nights, but her hands tremble as she sets the mug down. Baby, can I clean up some of those cuts? Lily nods slowly. Danny works carefully, professionally, but when she gets close enough to see the marks circling Lily's throat, she has to turn away and breathe hard through her nose. She catches Grizzly's eye. The look they exchange requires no words. This isn't the first time. It won't be the last. But it might be the first time someone actually does something about it. Dutch comes back from his phone call and crouches beside Grizzly. Lawyer's on his way. Says keep her here until he arrives. CPS doesn't open until morning, but he's got contacts. How long? 40 minutes. An hour at the outside. Grizzly nods. An hour. They can hold ground for an hour. Lily sips the hot chocolate with both hands wrapped around the mug. It's the warmest thing she's touched in years. The sugar and heat seem to pull her back into herself. She looks around the diner, really looks, taking in the leather vests, the tattoos, the scarred faces of men who've lived through things that would break ordinary people. You're bikers, she says quietly. That we are. My dad says bikers are dangerous. Grizzlies. Smile contains absolutely no humor. Your dad's not wrong. But we're dangerous to the right people. Lily processes that. Then, softly, are you going to send me back? Not a chance in hell. The relief that crosses her face is so profound it's painful to witness. Like she braced herself for the sky to fall and instead found solid ground beneath her feet. She starts crying then. Really crying. Deep, wrenching sobs that shake her entire small frame. Danny wraps an arm around her. And this time Lily doesn't pull away. She just leans into it like she's realizing what safety feels like. Outside. Thunder rolls across the Texas panhandle and rain hammers harder against the windows. Neon beer signs flicker and buzz. Grizzly stands and walks to the counter, where the Iron Outlaws have gathered in a loose circle. Their posture casual, but their eyes sharp. Crow speaks first. This is going to get complicated. Already is. Trigger mutters from the window, one hand resting near his belt. Small town like this, guys probably got friends. Cops, judges, people who'll line up behind him. Then we make it simple. Grizzly says. Girl needs protection. We provide it. End of discussion. Law might see it different. This from Pike, a wiry biker with prison tattoos and a sharp mind for legal trouble. Could call it kidnapping, interference. Especially if Daddy comes looking with badges behind him. Let him try. Dutch leans against the counter, arms folded. I'm with Grizzly. But we need to be smart. Document everything. Photos, statements, witnesses. So when this blows up, and it will blow up, we're standing on the right side of the line. Danny's already pulling out her phone. I'll photograph the injuries, time-stamped, and I'll write a statement about what I saw when she came through that door. Good. Grizzly looks at each of them in turn. Nobody leaves until the lawyer arrives. Nobody speaks to cops without him present. And nobody. He lets the words sit heavy in the air. Let's that child out of our sight. The agreement is silent and absolute. These are men who've spent years living on the edges of society, operating in the grey spaces between law and justice. They understand how systems fail people. They know how power shields its own. They know that sometimes the only wall standing between the innocent and the walls is built of leather and loyalty. Lily has stopped crying. She sits wrapped in the blanket beside Danny, staring into her hot chocolate like it might contain answers. Grizzly walks back and settles into the booth across from her. The vinyl creaks under his weight. Lily, I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Can you do that? She nods. How long has your father been hurting you? The question sits between them like broken glass on a dark floor. Lily's good eye tracks to the Rain Street window. Since Mom died, 4 years. Yeah, and your mom. How did she die? Lily's face goes very still. Fell down the stairs. That's what Dad said. That's what everyone said. But her voice drops to almost nothing. I heard them fighting that night. Heard her scream. Then something hit the wall. Hard. Then nothing. Dad came into my room and told me to go back to sleep. Said Mom had an accident. The diner's fluorescent lights seemed to flicker. Grizzly keeps his expression neutral, but his hands form fists beneath the table. You tell anyone about this. Who would believe me? Dad's got friends. Judge Pruitt plays poker with him. Sheriff Caldwell drinks at the same bar. My teacher said I was making things up for attention. Lily's voice takes on a hardness no 10-year-old's voice should carry. Nobody cares what happened to Mom. Nobody cares what happens to me. We care. I care. Lily looks at him then. Really looks, searching his face for the lie she's learned to expect from adults. But Grizzly's eyes are steady and certain and absolutely still. Why? She whispers. Because you walked through that door. That makes you ours now. It's a claim that would sound insane anywhere else, from anyone else. But in this diner, at this moment, it's a covenant. Danny squeezes Lily's shoulder, and the girl leans into it again, her breathing slowly evening out. Then headlights sweep across the parking lot. Everyone goes still. Trigger's hand moves to his belt. Crow steps toward the door. Dutch positions himself near Lily's booth. The headlights belong to a truck. Big, diesel, older model. It pulls into the lot fast, skidding slightly on the wet pavement, stopping at a careless angle. The engine cuts. The door swings open. A man steps out into the rain. He's not tall, but he's thick. The kind of thick that comes from manual labor and too much beer. Maybe 45, maybe 50. Rain soaks him immediately, running off his Carhartt jacket. He stands there a moment, studying the diner like he's calculating his approach. Then he walks toward the entrance with the heavy, deliberate steps of someone who expects the world to clear a path. Lily goes rigid. The color drains from her face. That's him, she whispers. That's my dad. Danny pulls her close. You're safe. We've got you. But Lily is shaking again. Full body tremors that have nothing to do with cold. Because knowing you're protected and believing it are two completely different countries. And she spent 4 years learning that protection doesn't exist. Carl Bennett pushes through the diner door and stops just inside, water pooling around his boots. His eyes sweep the room, taking in the leather and the scars and the hard faces, and his expression shifts from angry to cautious. But only slightly. Where's my daughter? His voice is rough, slurred around the edges. Still drunk or drunk again? Hard to say. Grizzly stands slowly, putting himself between Kyle and Lily's booth without saying a word, letting his 6'3" frame do the talking first. Kyle's eyes narrow. I asked you a question, and I'm thinking about my answer. The tension in the room becomes something you can feel against your skin, like the pressure before a tornado. The Iron Outlaws shift without appearing to move. Suddenly, they're a formation instead of scattered men. Suddenly, there's no clear path from the door to where Lily's sitting. Cole notices. His hand twitches toward his pocket. That's my kid. She ran off. I'm taking her home. Don't think so. Grizzly says quietly. The hell you say? She's my daughter. I got rights. So does she. Like the right not to be beaten half to death. Carl's face darkens. You don't know what you're talking about. Girl's clumsy. Always hurting herself. I'm here to take her home where she belongs. She belongs anywhere except with you. The air crackles. Carl's hand moves again. And this time it comes out of his pocket, holding a folding knife. Cheap gas station steel. But steel is steel. He doesn't open it yet. Just holds it where everyone can see. I said, I'm taking my daughter. Nobody moves. The knife might as well be a child's toy for all the fear it generates. Trigger actually smiles. All teeth and no warmth. Crow shifts his weight slightly. Pike crosses his arms, looking almost bored. Grizzly's voice stays level. You still have options right now. In about 30 seconds, you won't. You threatening me. Just explaining physics. You walked in here with a weapon and threatened a room full of people who don't threaten easy. That's a bad equation. Cole looks around again, reassessing. The Iron Outlaws stare back with the patient, dead-eyed calm of men who've survived worse Tuesdays than this. Behind Grizzly, Lily makes a small sound. Not quite a whimper. Not quite a sob. It's the sound of a child who has watched her father hurt people before and knows exactly what comes next. That sound does something to the room. The temperature drops 10 degrees. Several men stand without appearing to make any decision at all. The distance between Kyle and the exit suddenly feels very long. Then sirens cut through the storm. Red and blue light sweeps across the diner windows. Two police cruisers pull into the lot, followed by a civilian sedan. Carl's expression flickers between relief and something harder to name. He pockets the knife, but doesn't take his eyes off Grizzly. This ain't over. No. Grizzly agrees. It's just getting started. The first officer through the door is Sheriff Ray Caldwell, late 50s, weathered, the kind of cop who spent 3 decades learning which rules to bend and which ones to break. He takes in the scene with practiced eyes. Soaked, angry civilian, defensive bikers, terrified child in a blanket. His hand stays near his weapon, but doesn't touch it. Somebody want to tell me what's happening here? Everyone starts talking at once. Carl pointing and demanding. Danny explaining how the girl arrived. Trigger describing the knife. The voices overlap until Caldwell holds up both hands, one at a time. Kyle, you first. That's my daughter. These people won't let me take her home. She ran off in the storm. I've been looking everywhere. And the injuries. She fell. Told you before, Sheriff, girls always getting into things. Caldwell's eyes track to Lily. She has gone completely silent, staring at the tabletop. Every muscle locked tight. The sheriff's expression is unreadable. He's known Carl Bennett for 20 years. They drink at the same bar. Their kids went to the same school. But he's also a cop who's seen enough domestic situations to know what he's looking at. Lily, honey, can you look at me? She doesn't move. Danny gently turns her head, and when Caldwell sees her face, the swollen eye, the bruises, the split lip, something shifts in his expression. But he's careful, cautious. In towns like this one, you don't accuse men like Carl Bennett without evidence that will actually hold. That's quite a fall, Caldwell says carefully. She trips over her own feet. Always has. You ate her. The sheriff looks at Grizzly. And who are you? Just a man who was having coffee when a child came in asking for help. You're Iron Outlaws. I know your club. You're not from around here. We go where the road takes us. Road take you into other people's family business often. Grizzly meets his eyes without blinking. When their family business involves beating kids, yeah, regularly, Caldwell's jaw tightens. He's stuck between protocol and instinct, between what the law says and what his gut knows. The second officer, younger and greener, hovers near the door looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. The civilian who followed the cruisers in turns out to be the lawyer Dutch called. Sharp-dressed, sharp-eyed. The kind of man who bills $400 an hour and earns every penny. Marcus Webb introduces himself with the efficiency of someone who doesn't waste breath. Sheriff, I'm representing the child's interests. Before anyone makes decisions, I need a private moment with my client, your client. Kid doesn't have money for a lawyer. Pro bono. Completely legal. Child welfare statutes. Section 34B. Caldwell looked like he wants to argue, but can't find the angle. Carl's getting more agitated by the second, shifting his weight, breathing hard, his hand drifting again and again toward the pocket where the knife is. This is garbage, he spits. She's my daughter. I'm taking her home. That's the end of it, actually. Webb says mildly. It's not. Given the visible injuries and the child's evident terror, I'm petitioning for emergency protective custody. A judge will review it in the morning. Judge Pruitt won't sign that. He knows me. Then we'll find a judge who doesn't. The room teeters on a blade's edge. Caldwell knows he should separate everyone and follow procedure. But procedure in Amarillo has a way of protecting the wrong people. He's seen it happen too many times. Women returned to violent husbands. Children sent back to dangerous homes. The system failing and failing and failing again. He looks at Lily one more time. Really looks. The girl radiates a terror you simply cannot fake. Something in Caldwell's face finally breaks open. Kyle, go home. Cool off. We'll sort this out in the morning. The hell I will. That's my go home. Caldwell's voice hardens. Before I decide, there's probable cause to arrest you right now for assault. You wouldn't test me. The standoff holds for 10 endless seconds. Carl's face cycles through several shades of red before settling on a dangerous white. He looks at Lily, at Grizzly, at the lawyer, at the sheriff, measuring something. Finally he spits on the floor and turns toward the door. "This ain't finished," he says. "Not by a long shot." Then he's gone, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. His truck roars to life and tears out of the parking lot, spraying gravel and rainwater. Everyone watches until the taillights disappear into the storm. The silence that follows feels fragile, like everyone's afraid to breathe wrong and shatter it. Caldwell turns to Webb. "You got somewhere safe to put her tonight? CPS won't open until 8 a.m. It's Danny who answers, her voice cutting through with quiet force. "She can stay with me. I've got a spare room. I'm off shift in an hour." Webb nods. "That works. I'll file the emergency petition tonight. Sheriff, I'll need your incident report to include detailed descriptions of all visible injuries." Caldwell hesitates, then nods slowly. "Already planning on it." It's a small admission, but it means everything. It means he's choosing sides. It means the system might actually function this time, or at least not actively work against itself. Slowly, painfully, the machinery of justice begins creaking into motion. An hour later, the diner is mostly empty. Just the Iron Outlaws and Danny, who's closing up early. Lily sits in the booth, exhausted beyond sleep, watching Grizzly with the same searching expression from before. "Are you going to leave?" she asks. "Not until I know you're safe." "When will that be?" Grizzly doesn't have a clean answer for that. Safety isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a daily negotiation with chaos. But he understands what she's really asking. Are you going to vanish like every other adult who promised and then disappeared? "Here's what I'll do," he says. "We'll stay in Amarillo a few days. Make sure things settle right." "You do that." "Already doing it." Lily's good eye starts leaking tears again. These are different from the ones before. Exhaustion. Relief. She wipes them away roughly with the corner of the blanket. Danny emerges from the kitchen with a bag of clothes from her locker. "Come on, sweetheart. Let's get you somewhere warm." As they head toward the door, Lily turns back one last time. "Thank you," she whispers to the room full of bikers. "All of you." Nobody says you're welcome. Nobody says anything, just nods. The minimal way men communicate when words feel insufficient. Because what do you say to a child who's thanking you for basic human decency? What do you say when the bar has been set so low that not hurting her qualifies as heroic? You don't say anything. You just make sure she survives tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. After they leave, the Iron Outlaws gather near the counter. Crow lights a cigarette despite the sign. Pike counts the cash for Danny's tip. They leave $300 between them. Dutch reads updates from Webb's paralegal on his phone. "We opened a door tonight," Trigger says quietly. "Question is what's going to come through it. Whatever it is," Grizzly replies. "We'll be ready." Outside, the storm is finally breaking. Rain softening to drizzle. Thunder rolling east toward Oklahoma. The diner's neon sign flickers and steadies, throwing red and blue across an empty parking lot. Somewhere in Amarillo, Carl Bennett sits in his truck drinking whiskey and planning his next move. Somewhere else, Lily's falling asleep in a clean bed for the first time in 4 years without waiting to hear footsteps in the hall. And between those 2 points, a handful of scarred men have chosen to hold ground instead of ride on. Because sometimes the road carries you exactly where you're needed. Sometimes it drops a child at your feet and dares you to fail her. And sometimes, just sometimes, you don't. But morning is coming fast, and with it, the real fight. Because keeping a child safe for one night is straightforward. Keeping her safe from a system designed to return her to the person trying to destroy her. That's war. And the Iron Outlaws just declared it. Morning breaks over Amarillo, a threat instead of a promise. Grey light filters through motel blinds, where Grizzly hasn't slept a single hour. He's been sitting in the chair by the window, watching the parking lot, while his brothers took shifts on the beds. Dutch is outside smoking, his silhouette barely visible against the neon vacancy sign. Trigger left an hour ago to check on Danny's place. Make sure Lily made it through the night. Grizzly's phone buzzes. Text from Webb. Judge Pruitt recused himself. Good news. Replacement is Judge Kathleen Morrison. Bad news. Hearing moved to 2 p.m. today, as of tomorrow. Carl's attorney filed an emergency counter-petition. So it starts. Faster than expected. But not surprising. In towns like this, power moves quickly to protect itself. Grizzly texts back, "We'll be there." Then he stands, every joint cracking, and walks to the bathroom, splashes cold water on his face, and stares at the stranger in the mirror. Silver beard, scar tissue around the eyes, the kind of tired that lives in the bone marrow. He's 53 years old and has been running from the same ghost for 15 years. Her name was Carolyn, his daughter. She was 16 when her boyfriend put her in a hospital. 17 when she overdosed because living hurt more than not living. Grizzly was on a run to Nevada when it happened, chasing club business instead of watching his family fall apart. By the time he made it back, she was already in the ground. He hasn't stopped moving since. The motel door opens. Trigger walks in carrying cold air and cigarette smoke. His expression says everything before his mouth opens. "We got problems. Talk to me." Carl's not alone. His brother showed up at Danny's house 20 minutes ago. Dean Bennett drives a black F-50, works at the county assessor's office, didn't do anything, just parked across the street and sat there watching. But Danny's spooked. Grizzly's jaw tightens. Dean's still there. Left when I showed up, but he ran my plate. Took photos. Trigger's hand flexes like he's already throwing punches. "Man, I didn't ride 200 miles to play defense. You rode 200 miles because I asked you to, and I'm asking you to stay smart." The temperature in the room drops. Trigger's eyes narrow. He's young, maybe 28, and still carries too much fire, too much pride, not enough scar tissue to know when to swallow it. Staying smart looks a lot like doing nothing. Looks that way to people who don't know the difference. "You saying I don't?" Grizzly turns to face him fully. Doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't need to. "I'm saying you're thinking with your fists instead of your head. This isn't a bar fight. It's a chess match, and we're already 3 moves in." Trigger's face goes hard. For a second it looks like he might push back, but he swallows it. Barely. "Fine. What's the play? We wait for the hearing. Let the system work. And if it doesn't, then we stop waiting." Dutch comes back inside, stamping cold off his boots. "Called the Lubbock chapter. They're ready to send people, if we need them." "No." Grizzly's voice cuts flat. "This stays small. We bring in more brothers. Carl's people escalate. Suddenly it's a gang war, and we lose the narrative. So we're sitting here, while they circle us." Trigger's voice climbs despite himself. "You know what Pike said last month? Said you've been running from something 4 years. Said whatever happened before the club turned you into someone who hesitates instead of acts." The room goes dead silent. Crow sits up on the bed. Dutch freezes mid-drag. Grizzly's expression doesn't change, but something cold moves behind his eyes. "Pike said that." "Yeah. And you believed him." "I believe you're not the same man who earned that president patch." Grizzly crosses the room in 3 steps and stands directly in front of Trigger. Doesn't touch him. Just stands there radiating the kind of weight that comes from decades of hard living and harder choices. "My daughter died because I wasn't there," he says. Each word carved from something solid. 17 years old. "She died alone because I was out proving how tough I was, instead of protecting my own blood. So yeah, I think before I act now. I try to be strategic instead of just violent. Because violence is easy, brother. Any fool can throw punches. But keeping someone safe over the long run, that takes patience." Trigger's face flickers. Surprise, shame, defiance, all fighting for control. "I didn't know," he says quietly. "Of course you didn't, because I don't talk about it. But now you do." Grizzly steps back. "So here's how it works. You can stay and follow my lead, or you ride out and we part as friends. But if you stay, you don't question me in front of the brothers again. Are we clear?" The silence stretches. Trigger's jaw works like he's chewing words he can't spit out. Finally, he nods once, sharp, reluctant, clear. Grizzly's phone rings before anyone can exhale. Danny's number. Yeah, they're outside again. Her voice shakes. Dean's truck just pulled back up. He's not alone. 2 other vehicles. 6 men total. Just sitting there staring at my house. Lock everything. Don't open the door for anyone. We're 10 minutes out. He hangs up and looks at his brothers. Gear up. We're moving. They don't ask questions. Just pull on vests. Check pockets. Move with the efficient silence of men who have done this before. 4 Hollies roar to life in the motel parking lot. Their exhaust shattering the morning quiet. They ride through Amarillo's waking streets in formation, past coffee shops opening their doors and school buses pulling away from curbs, past the ordinary world that has no idea what's happening 6 blocks over. Danny's house comes into view. 3 trucks lined along the street. Dean's F-50, a silver Dodge, a red Chevy. 6 men standing on the sidewalk in a loose cluster, not technically on her property, but close enough that the threat needs no clarification. Dean stands in the center, arms crossed, watching the house like something predatory. The Hollies roll up loud. The men turn, hands moving toward belts and pockets in unconscious defensive gestures. But they don't scatter. These aren't amateurs. These are Carl's people, family, friends, men who back each other up regardless of what the truth looks like. Grizzly kills his engine and dismounts slowly. His brothers follow. They don't rush, don't pasture, just stand there beside their bikes. 4 against 6. The math mattering far less than the willingness to use it. You're trespassing, Dean says. Public street. Same as you. That woman kidnapped my brother's daughter. We're here to make sure she doesn't run. Girls under protective custody. Legal and proper. Not until 2 p.m. it isn't. Till then, Carl still has rights. Dean takes a step forward, and we're here to protect those rights. By intimidating witnesses, that's a crime. Dean. Dean's voice goes flat. You came into our town, stuck your nose in our business, turned a family situation into a circus. You don't belong here. So why don't you get back on those bikes and ride out before this gets worse? Dutch moves up beside Grizzly. Worse for who? For everyone. The standoff holds. 6 men with home field advantage and deep local connections. 4 men with road miles and the kind of scars that say they've faced worse odds and walked away. The morning air tastes like the violence it's barely holding back. Then Danny's front door opens. Lily steps out onto the porch. She's wearing clothes Danny must have given her, jeans that don't quite fit, a sweater hanging past her hands. Her face still tells the story of what was done to her. The bruises vivid in the morning light. She stands there, small and clearly terrified, but standing, her good eye fixed on her Uncle Dean. Leave us alone, she says. Her voice barely carries, but it cuts through everything else. Dean's expression shifts. Lily, honey, we're just trying to help. You're trying to help him, not me. Your dad loves you. He made mistakes, but he killed my mom. Lily's voice breaks, but she doesn't back down. I saw him. I've always known. And you helped him hide it. The accusation lands like a grenade. Dean's face drains white, then floods red. One of the other men starts to speak, but Dean waves him off. You don't know what you're saying, Dean tells her. You were just a kid. You got confused. I'm still just a kid. But I'm not confused. Lily's hands are trembling, but she keeps them at her sides. And I'm not going back, ever. Dean stares at her for a long moment. Something complicated moves across his face. Anger, shame, the internal war of a man who spent 4 years convincing himself that the lie was the truth. Then he turns to Grizzly. This isn't over. Keep telling yourself that. The 6 men climb back into their trucks and drive away. Engines growling, leaving tire marks on the asphalt like territorial boundaries. Grizzly watches until they're gone before walking to the porch, where Lily stands with Danny's arm around her shoulders. You okay? He asks. Lily nods. I'm tired of being scared. I know. When does it stop? Soon. Few more hours and the judge makes it official. And then you get to be a kid again. Lily looks at him with an expression far older than her face. I don't remember how. The words hit harder than Dean's threats ever could. Because that's the real damage, not the bruises that will fade, but the childhood that was stolen one piece at a time until she forgot what ordinary felt like inside. Danny makes coffee while the bikers position themselves around the house. Crow takes the back door. Trigger watches the street from the front window. Dutch sits at the kitchen table cleaning his fingernails with a pocket knife, looking relaxed but with eyes that never stop moving. Grizzly's phone buzzes. Text from Webb. Found something. Meet me at courthouse library in 30 minutes. Urgent. He shows Dutch, who nods. Go. We'll hold here. Grizzly rides alone to the courthouse. His bike the only sound on empty downtown streets. The library's in the basement. Old law books and dust and the smell of aging paper. Webb's already there, surrounded by documents. Tie loosened. Eyes red from no sleep. Found the medical examiner's original notes on Sandra Bennett. Webb says without preamble. Unofficial copy from a protected source. Official report says accidental fall. But the Me's personal notes say the fracture pattern doesn't match. Says it looks like blunt force trauma. Grizzly takes the folder. Reads the handwritten words. Angle of impact inconsistent with stairs. Query assault. Recommend further investigation. And then, in different ink. Case closed per LT. Morgan's request. Morgan shut it down. Within 48 hours. The medical examiner tried to push back, but Morgan is Carl's brother-in-law. Family protecting family. Webb pulls out another document. Also found this. Sandra Bennett's sister filed 3 separate complaints with the DA's office trying to get the case reopened. All denied. The DA who turned them down was Everett Vale. Vale's connected to Kyle. Cousins. It's a small town. Mr. Harper. Everyone's connected to everyone. That's why this has stayed buried so long. Webb leans back. But it's coming up now. And when it does, a lot of powerful people are going to fall. Good, maybe. Or maybe they'll fight back hard enough to take us down with them. He looks grim. Winning in court is only the first battle. They're walking out of the library when Grizzly's phone rings. Unknown number. Mr. Harper. A woman's voice. Professional. Urgent. This is Naomi Holloway from Child Protective Services. Marcus Webb gave me your number. There's been a development. I'm listening. Carl Bennett's attorney filed an emergency motion. They're claiming you and your associates are holding Lily against her will. They're asking Judge Morrison to order her immediate return pending a psychiatric evaluation to determine if she's been coerced. That's garbage and they know it, I agree. But legally, they have the right to file. The hearing is still on 4 p.m. But now we're also fighting allegations of manipulation and undue influence. Papers rustle. Mr. Harper. The system is designed to keep families together whenever possible. Even damaged families. Even dangerous ones. Because the alternative, foster care, institutional placement, is often worse. Not this time. I hope you're right. But hope doesn't win custody cases. Evidence does. And right now Carl's building a narrative that you're vigilantes who manipulated a confused child. We saved her. I know that. Make sure the judge knows it too. The call ends. Grizzly stands in the courthouse parking lot, watching clouds pile up, feeling the weight of what's ahead. They pulled Lily from immediate danger, but keeping her safe long term is threading a needle through a system that has failed people like her for years. He rides back to Danny's at noon. His brothers are tense and ready. Lily's in the back room, with Danny getting cleaned up for the hearing. When she emerges, she's wearing a simple blue dress with white flowers that Danny picked up at Walmart. The kind of thing a normal 10-year-old might wear on a school picture day. But nothing about Lily looks normal. The bruises make sure of that. Do I look okay? She asks quietly. You look brave. Grizzly tells her at 1:30 they convoy to the courthouse. 4 Holly's and Danny's sedan and Webb's car. A journalist named Ray Caulfield meets them in the parking lot, carrying a camera and recorder. Webb called him in deliberately. The more public this becomes, the harder it is for the system to quietly bury. Carl Bennett is already there. He stands on the courthouse steps with his lawyer Harlan Gibbs, surrounded by 6 people dressed for church. Character witnesses. ready to testify what a decent man Kyle is. Dean's there too, arms folded, glaring. A woman who must be Kyle's sister Ruth stands beside him, looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Kyle sees Lily and something complicated moves across his face. "Lily," he calls out. "Baby, come here." She freezes. Grizzly feels her small hand grab his vest. "You don't have to," he murmurs. "I know." But she doesn't move toward her father. Kyle descends a step. "They're lying to you, turning you against me. I made mistakes, but I'm your father. You killed Mom." Lily says it loud enough for everyone to hear. The courthouse steps go silent. Kyle's face drains white, then floods red. "That's not. You don't. I saw you. You were 6 years old. You don't remember it right." "I remember everything." Kyle looks at Grizzly with pure, undiluted hatred. "This is your fault. You poisoned her against me." "No," Grizzly says quietly. "You did that yourself." They file into courtroom 3B. Judge Kathleen Morrison presiding. She's late 50s. Steel grey hair, eyes that have processed too many of these cases to retain any illusions about what people are capable of. Everyone takes their positions. Kyle and his lawyer on one side, Lily and Webb on the other. The Iron Outlaws settle into the gallery. A wall of leather and unwavering silence. Morrison enters. Everyone rises. The bailiff reads the case number. Morrison surveys the room with an expression that reveals nothing. "This is an emergency custody hearing regarding Lily Bennett, age 10. Mr. Gibbs, you represent the father. Mr. Webb, you represent the child. Present your cases." Gibbs stands, smooth and practiced. He paints Kyle as a grieving father, a man broken by loss, a single parent doing his imperfect best while struggling with grief and financial hardship. He admits Kyle has occasionally lost his temper. He produces letters from Kyle's employer, from neighbors, from a counselor willing to offer therapy. A carefully constructed portrait of a flawed but redeemable man. Furthermore, he argues, the motorcycle club members who inserted themselves into this family have no legitimate connection to the child and no legal right to interfere with a father's relationship with his daughter. Morrison listens without expression. "Mr. Webb stands. Your Honor." The photographs speak for themselves. He hands images to the bailiff. Morrison's face tightens as she reviews them. Lily's swollen eye, the bruised throat, the marks that carry stories. These injuries occurred 2 nights ago. This is not occasional lost temper. This is sustained, systematic abuse. And new evidence suggests Kyle Bennett may have been responsible for his wife's death 4 years ago. Gibbs objects loudly, but Morrison raises a hand. "I'll allow it. If there's a documented history of violence, it's directly relevant." Continue. Webb calls Danny Martinez. She testifies about the night Lily appeared at Mel's diner, about the town's practiced willful blindness, about 4 years of a community choosing comfort over conscience. Gibbs tries to shake her. Danny holds steady. Then Webb presents the medical examiner's notes. The courtroom settles into a weighted quiet as the evidence of a cover-up enters the record. Morrison leans forward. "Why was this not investigated?" Lieutenant Tom Morgan closed the case within 48 hours. "Your Honor, he's Kyle Bennett's brother-in-law." Several people in the courtroom shift uncomfortably. Morrison's expression hardens. "I want to hear from the child. Lily, can you approach?" Lily stands. She's shaking. She walks to the witness stand, and the bailiff swears her in. Her voice barely carries when she says, "I do." Morrison softens slightly. "Lily, I know this is hard, but I need you to tell me what happened the night your mother died." Lily's good eye finds Grizzly in the gallery. He nods once. She takes a breath. "I heard them fighting. Dad was yelling. Mom was crying. Then something hit the wall really hard." Her voice is small, but it doesn't waver. "I opened my door and saw Dad at the top of the stairs. Mom was at the bottom, not moving. Blood on the floor." "What did your father do?" "He saw me, told me to go back to my room, said Mom had an accident and I needed to forget." Her voice cracks. "So I tried, but I couldn't. And after that night, he started hurting me too." Morrison sits back. The courtroom is absolutely still. Carl stares at the table, his hands gripping the edge hard enough to whiten his knuckles. "Mr. Bennett," Morrison says, "do you wish to respond?" Carl stands slowly. She's confused. Doesn't remember right. "So you deny striking your daughter?" "I discipline her when she needs it, with your fists." Carl's face goes red. She's a difficult child. Lies constantly. Makes things up. Sandra was the same. Always exaggerating. He stops himself. But it's too late. For one unguarded second the mask slipped. And everyone in that room saw what was underneath. Morrison's expression goes glacial. "I've heard enough." Lily Bennett is remanded to emergency protective custody. Carl Bennett, you were stripped of all custody and visitation rights, pending a full investigation into both current abuse allegations and the circumstances of your wife's death. This court is adjourned. The gavel falls like thunder. For a moment no one moves. Then Lily starts crying. Not from fear, from relief so profound it sounds like breaking open. Danny wraps her arms around the girl, and Lily doesn't resist. Just leans in. Carl Bennett's world collapses around him. Doc Gibbs tries to argue. Morrison is already gone. Carl stands frozen, his face cycling through rage and disbelief. Then he looks at Grizzly. "This is your fault. You took her from me." "No," Grizzly says quietly. "You did this. Every single time you raised your fist." Carl takes a step forward. The bailiff is immediately between them. "Mr. Bennett, leave, now." Dean and the others pull Carl toward the exit. He's making promises about appeals and threats about what comes next. But it's just noise now. Outside under a grey December sky, the Iron Outlaws stand in a loose circle around Lily and Danny. Ray Caulfield is already writing. Webb is coordinating with CPS about permanent placement. Lily looks up at Grizzly. "You kept your promise. Told you I would. What happens now? Now you get to be a kid again. And you. We ride on eventually. It's what we do." Lily's face crumbles. "Don't go yet." Grizzly kneels down. "We'll stay a few days. Make sure everything settles." She pulls a lucky quarter from her pocket. "Keep this safe for me. So you have to come back." Grizzly's vision blurs. He takes the quarter. "Deal." Lily hugs him then. This small, fierce thing who survived and came out the other side still capable of trusting someone. When she finally lets go, they watch her and Danny walk to their car and drive away towards something that might actually be safety. "Good work," Crow says quietly. "Not done yet," Grizzly replies. "Because it's not." His phone rings. Unknown number. "Mr. Harper." A man's voice. Cold. Official. "Everett Vale, Potter County District Attorney. You just made a very powerful enemy. Judge Morrison may have ruled today, but I'm opening a criminal investigation into you and your associates for kidnapping, intimidation, and obstruction. We didn't kidnap anyone. That's what trials are for. And yours will be in front of a jury of Carl Bennett's neighbors. People who don't take kindly to outsiders." Vale's voice hardens. "You won one battle, but you started a war you cannot win. Leave Amarillo before I make examples out of every last one of you." The line goes dead. Grizzly stands in the parking lot, cold wind cutting through his vest, feeling the weight of what's coming settle over him on a storm front. They saved Lily, but somewhere in Amarillo, powerful men are sharpening their knives, and the road just became a great deal more dangerous. The threat moves through Grizzly's phone like poison through a vein. Everett Vale's voice still echoes in his skull long after the line goes dead. Cold, certain, the sound of power that has never once been challenged and doesn't intend to start now. He stands in the courthouse, parking lot watching grey clouds build overhead. His brothers wait by the bikes, and for the first time in 15 years he feels something he thought he'd burned out of himself entirely. Fear, not for himself. He stopped measuring his own survival the day they put Carolyn in the ground, but for Trigger, Crow, Dutch, men who followed him into this because they trusted his judgment, and for Lily, who just learned to believe in protection again. If Vale comes at them with the full weight of Potter County's corrupt machinery, everyone Grizzly touched becomes a target. What did he say? Dutch asks, reading Grizzly's expression. Said we started a war. We're starting or finishing. Does it matter? Crow lights a cigarette, his scarred hand perfectly steady in the cold wind. We knew this could blow back. Question is how hard and how fast. Fast, Grizzly says. Vale doesn't strike me as a patient man. They ride back to the motel in formation, engines rumbling through empty streets, exhaust hanging in the frozen air like visible ghosts. The sky is getting darker, not night dark, storm dark, the kind that turns afternoon into twilight and presses streetlights into early life. Grizzly's instincts are screaming at him, the same instincts that kept him breathing through to tour overseas and a decade of outlaw living. Something is wrong. Something beyond Vale's threats and Carl's rage. Something is coming. At the motel, they park and kill the engines. The silence afterward feels unnatural. To complete, triggers the first off his bike. I'm going to check on Danny and Lily. Make sure they got home safe. Call first, Grizzly warns. Don't just show up. We need space between them and us right now. Why? Fight's over. Girl's safe. Fight's never over until the other side stops swinging. And Vale just promised to swing hard. Trigger pulls out his phone anyway and dials Danny's number. It rings 6 times. Voicemail. He tries again. Same result. She's not answering. Give her time. Or something's wrong. Grizzly's about to respond when his own phone rings. A known number. He answers. Mr. Harper. A woman's voice, barely holding together. This is Jessica Ruiz. I used to be Danny Martinez's roommate. She told me to call you if anything happened to her. Grizzly's chest tightens. What happened? I was at the grocery store. I saw Danny's car in the parking lot. Driver's door open. Engine still running. But no Danny, no Lily. Just her purse on the seat and her phone on the ground, like someone grabbed her fast. The world narrows to a single point. When? 20 minutes ago. I called 911. They said they can't file a missing persons report for 24 hours. Said I was probably overreacting. Jessica's voice breaks. But I know Danny. She doesn't leave her car running. She doesn't leave her phone. Which grocery store? Alverson's on Western. Stay there. Don't touch anything. We're 10 minutes out. He hangs up and looks at his brothers. Their faces tell him they already know. They took them, Trigger says, his voice gone flat and deadly. We don't know that yet. Yes, we do. Vale made his move, and he made it fast. Dutchie's already on his bike. Then we move faster. They ride through Amarillo like the end of the world is behind them. 80 through residential zones. Red lights run without slowing. The Hollies scream protest but obey. Grizzly's mind races faster than the engine beneath him. If Vale's people have Danny and Lily, this isn't about custody anymore. This is about sending a message. This is about making examples. The Albersons parking lot appears ahead. Half full. Ordinary. People loading groceries into trunks with no idea that something terrible happened here minutes ago. Danny's sedan sits near the back. Driver's door hanging open like a broken jaw. Engine still idling. Exhaust drifting into cold air. A woman stands beside it. Dark hair. Late 30s. Terrified eyes. Jessica Ruiz. She sees the bikers coming and visibly flinches before recognizing who she called. You're Grizzly. That's right. Anyone touched the car since she found it? No. I've been standing here making sure. Grizzly approaches carefully. Danny's purse sits on the driver's seat. Wallet inside. Keys in the ignition. Everything intact. Her phone lies on the asphalt beside the open door. Screen cracked like it hit hard when it fell. No blood. No obvious signs of a struggle. Just absence where the people used to be. Crows already scanning the building. Security cameras. 4 of them. If someone grabbed them, it's on tape. Then we need that tape. They walk into the Albersons together. 4 leather-clad bikers moving through the produce section with purpose. Shoppers notice. Some stare. Some gather their children and step away. The manager, a young guy barely 25, sees them coming and his face drains. Can I help you, gentlemen? 2 people went missing from your parking lot 30 minutes ago, Grizzly says, keeping his voice level. We need your security footage. That's not something I can just You'd need a warrant or… Trigger leans forward. Or we can go get a warrant. 3 hours minimum. Meanwhile, two people are missing. One of them is a 10-year-old girl who just got out of an abusive home. Every minute we waste is a minute she's in danger. The manager's eyes dart between them. I could lose my job. And that girl could lose her life. Dutch's voice is surprisingly quiet. What's more important? The kid swallows. Looks around for someone to make this decision for him. No one comes, he nods. Back office. But if anyone asks, you forced me. We forced you. Grizzly agrees. The security office smells like old coffee and stress. For monitors covering different angles of the parking lot, the manager, Brandon, rewinds to 40 minutes ago, fast forwarding through ordinary comings and goings until Danny's sedan pulls into frame. To 17 p.m. Danny gets out. Lily's visible in the passenger seat through the windshield. They walk toward the entrance together. Danny's arm around the girl's shoulders. Everything looks exactly like it should. Then at 23, 3 men appear. They come from the side, moving fast, converging on Danny and Lily near the entrance. One grabs Danny from behind. Another scoops Lily off the ground before she can scream. A third man scans the parking lot checking for witnesses. The whole thing takes 11 seconds. Then they're gone, disappearing around the building's north side where the cameras don't reach. Pause on their faces, Grizzly says, his voice empty of everything except focus. Brandon does. The image freezes. 3 men in casual clothes, no masks, no attempt to conceal themselves. The one grabbing Danny is thick-set, early 40s, with a scar running down his left cheek. The one carrying Lily is younger, leaner, wearing a Carhartt jacket. The lookout is older, maybe 50, with the posture of someone who spent time in military or law enforcement. Crow leans close to the monitor. I've seen these men. Where? This morning, at Danny's house. They were with Dean Bennett. The pieces snapped together with sickening clarity. This isn't random. This isn't even Vale working through official channels. This is Carl's family, taking matters directly into their own hands, grabbing what the court refused to give them. They get the footage emailed and walk out of the Albersons. Grizzly's phone rings as they hit the parking lot. A number he recognizes. Sheriff Ray Caldwell. Harper, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not on the phone. Meet me at the old Texaco on Route 287. Abandoned one. 30 minutes. Come alone. Not happening. Then Danny Martinez and that little girl are on their own. Caldwell's voice drops. I'm trying to help here, but if you show up with your whole crew, I can't do what I need to do. 30 minutes. Alone. Or this gets a lot worse. The line dies. Grizzly stands there weighing options that all lead to bad places. Caldwell could be legitimate. Could be a man trying to thread the needle between his badge and his conscience. Or he could be bait, drawing Grizzly out alone so Carl's people can finish what they started. What he say? Dutch asks. Wants to meet alone. Says he has information. That's an ambush waiting to happen. Maybe. Or maybe it's the only play we've got. Grizzly looks at his brothers. They have Danny and Lily. We don't know where. We don't know what they're planning. If Caldwell knows anything, I have to hear it. Trigger steps forward. Then we all hear it. He said alone or nothing. Then nothing. We find another way. Grizzly shakes his head. There is no other way. Not with the clock running. He pulls off his vest and hands it to Dutch. If I'm not back in 2 hours, you know what to do. Grizz, 2 hours. Then you burn this town down if you have to. But you get them back. He walks to his bike before they can stop him. Mounts up, fires the engine. Looks back once at his brothers standing in the parking lot, silhouettes against the dying afternoon light. Then he rides. Route 287 cuts through empty prairie north of Amarillo. The kind of landscape that stretches on forever without giving you anywhere to hide. The abandoned Texaco appears after 20 minutes of straight highway. Gas pumps long since removed. Windows boarded. Graffiti covering walls that once advertised cold Coca-Cola and clean restrooms. A perfect place for conversations that can't happen in public. Caldwell's cruiser is already there, parked behind the building. The sheriff leans against it with arms crossed, wearing his uniform, but no visible weapon. Could mean he's being careful. Could mean the weapon is hidden, and he's waiting for the right moment. Grizzly kills his engine 50 feet out and walks the rest on foot. Hands visible, moving with the deliberate awareness that kept him alive in Kandahar. You came alone, Caldwell observes. You asked nice. My brothers are probably circling with their eyes on us right now. Probably. Caldwell almost smiles. Almost. I'll make this fast. Carl Bennett didn't take Danny and Lily. His brother Dean did, along with 2 cousins, Marcus and Cole Bennett. They're at an old ranch property 20 miles north. Place belonged to their grandfather. Been abandoned 4 years, but the family still owns it. You sure? Dean's wife Ruth called me 2 hours ago, crying. Said Dean left with Marcus and Cole after the custody hearing. Said she heard them talking about fixing the family problem before they went. Caldwell's jaw tightens. She's scared of what they're planning. So am I. Why not arrest them yourself? Because I've got no proof. No warrant. No legal standing to raid private property based on a wife's suspicions. His voice goes bitter. And because half my department is related to the Bennetts somehow. I move officially. Word gets back to Dean before I'm even out the door. So you're asking me to do what you can't. I'm giving you information. What you do with it is your business. Caldwell pushes off the cruiser. The ranch is off County Road 1524. Big red barn. White farmhouse. Windmill in the front yard. No neighbors 4 miles. How many of them? Dean, Marcus, Cole, maybe more. The Bennetts are a big family and they're all feeling cornered right now. He meets Grizzly's eyes. This is going to get ugly. You understand that? Been ugly since we got here. No. It's been complicated. It's about to be ugly. The sheriff walks to his cruiser. I'll be on patrol in the opposite direction for the next 3 hours. Didn't see you. Didn't talk to you. Whatever happens at that ranch, I'll find out about it when everyone else does. He drives away, leaving Grizzly standing alone in the ruins of an abandoned gas station, while the sun drops behind storm clouds and the temperature falls toward freezing. He calls Dutch, gives coordinates. Dutch promises to rally the others. They'll meet at a truck stop 5 miles from the ranch, plan their approach, going with their heads instead of just their fists. The truck stop is exactly where Dutch said. A grimy little place called Dusty's that serves bad coffee to long-haul truckers who know better but stop anyway. The brothers are already there, bikes parked in a row, engines ticking cool. Inside, they take a back booth away from the other customers. Dutch spreads a hand-drawn map on the table, rough but functional, showing the ranch layout from satellite images on his phone. Farmhouse here. Dutch taps the paper. Barn here. Couple of outbuildings. Access road from the east. No other exits, unless you go cross-country. How many hostels? 3 confirmed. Dean, Marcus, Cole, maybe more. And we're 4. Trigger leans forward. So we even the odds. Hard and fast. In and out before they know what hit them. That's one approach. Grizzly says. What's the other? Call the cops and let them handle it legally. The silence that follows is heavy enough to press down on your chest. You serious? Trigger's voice rises. Caldwell just told you he can't move officially. And even if he could, by the time anyone gets a warrant, Danny and Lily could be dead. Or we go in reckless, and they die in the crossfire. Or we go in smart, and we bring them out. Trigger stands, his chair scraping back. You said we protect people who can't protect themselves. That's who we are. But now you want to hand it off to the same system that's been failing these people 4 years. I want to get them back alive. Since when are you scared of dying? The question lands like a slap. Grizzly stands slowly, his presence filling the booth. I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of failing. There's a difference. Doesn't look different from where I'm standing. They're inches apart now. Dutch and Crow watch in tense silence, ready to intervene. Then Grizzly's phone rings. Unknown number. He almost lets it go. Something makes him answer. Yeah, heavy breathing. Then a small voice, shaking with terror. Grizzly, Lily, they're going to hurt Danny. Please, you have to come. Please. The line cuts. Dead air. Then a man's voice, cold and flat. "You heard the girl. You want them back. You come get them. Alone. Otherwise we start cutting pieces off and mailing them to you." The voice hardens. 1 hour. You, alone, or the girl watches us kill her friend real slow. Your choice. Click. The booth is completely silent. All 3 brothers staring at him. "They want me," Grizzly says quietly. "Alone. 1 hour. That's a trap," Dutch says. "I know. They're going to kill you the second you walk in, probably. So you're not going." Trigger's voice has shifted from angry to desperate. "We figure out another way. There is no other way. No time." Grizzly looks at each of them. "I go in alone. You 3 hang back. If I'm not out in 90 minutes, you breach. Hard and fast. No hesitation. Grizz, that's an order." The words carry the weight of his patch, his position, years of loyalty. They don't have to like it, but they follow it. Crow speaks quietly. "This is a suicide run, maybe, but I've been running toward it for 15 years. About time I got there." They argue for another 10 minutes, but Grizzly's already made his decision. He pulls on his vest, prepares himself for what's coming. His brothers watch with the helpless frustration of men who know they're watching someone walk into a death trap and have no way to stop him. At the door, Dutch grabs his arm. "Bring them back or die trying. That's not good enough. It's all either of us has got." Grizzly rides alone into gathering darkness, following County Road 1524 north through empty prairie. The storm that's been threatening all day finally breaks, slashing cold rain turning the road slick, cutting visibility to almost nothing. His headlight carves a tunnel through the downpour, but doesn't reach far enough. The ranch appears like something from a bad dream. White farmhouse barely visible through rain, red barn looming behind it, windmill turning in the wind. Its creak like something dying. Lights burn in the farmhouse windows. Multiple vehicles parked in the yard. Dean's F-50, 2 other trucks. A sedan, more than 3 men. Maybe 6, maybe 8. Grizzly kills his engine 50 yards out and dismounts. Rain soaks through his vest immediately, cold enough to hurt, heavy enough to drown. He walks toward the house with his hands visible, his pace slow and deliberate, showing he's following their rules. The front door opens before he reaches it. Dean Bennett stands backlit in the doorway, shotgun in hand. "Strip the vest. Leave it on the porch." Grizzly pulls off his Iron Outlaw's vest, his colors, his identity, his protection, and sets it on the rain-soaked wood. Feels naked without it. Phone too. He places his phone beside the vest. "Now get inside." The farmhouse interior is exactly what you'd expect from a story like this. Old furniture, water-stained walls, the smell of mildew and old violence. From more men stand in the living room. Marcus and Cole Bennett, the cousins from the security footage. 2 others Grizzly doesn't recognize, but who carry themselves like men who've done bad things and found ways to justify every last one of them. And in the corner, bound to wooden chairs, are Danny and Lily. Danny's face is bruised, blood running from her nose. Her eyes find Grizzly's, and something breaks in them. Relief and horror in equal measure. Lily's physically unharmed, but her good eyes wide with terror. Her body shaking so hard, the chair rattles with her. "Told you he'd come," Dean says to the room. "Dumb bastard thinks he's a hero. Where's Kyle?" Grizzly asks. "Drunk at home. Doesn't know we're doing this. Won't know till it's done." Dean sets the shotgun against the wall. "See, Carl's soft. Always has been. Thinks lawyers and courts solve everything. But we're Bennett men. We solve problems the old way, by kidnapping children, by protecting family." Dean steps closer. "You came into our town, turned our people against us, cost Kyle his daughter, cost me my reputation, cost everything we built across 3 generations. You built it on lies and buried bodies." Dean's fist comes out of nowhere, catching Grizzly's jaw and snapping his head sideways. Stars explode across his vision. He tastes blood. "Sandra was an accident," Dean says, shaking out his hand. "Carl pushed her during an argument. She fell. It was tragic, but it wasn't murder." The medical examiner disagreed. The me didn't know anything. Tom Morgan handled it the right way. Family business stays family business. And Lily, she family business too. When Carl beats her, Dean's face goes hard. Carl's not a saint, but he's our blood, and blood protects blood, even when they screw up, especially when outsiders try to interfere. One of the unknown men, graying and military straight, speaks up. This is taking too long. We should have just shot him in the yard. Can't, Dean says. Needs to look right. Biker came here looking for trouble. Found more than he could handle. Tragic accident during a confrontation. He looks at Grizzly. We're going to beat you to death and make it look like a fight gone wrong. Then we make your body disappear when no one finds it. Your brothers will search. Eventually they'll give up and leave, and Lily will learn that running to outsiders for help only gets people killed. You're going to kill me in front of her. Grizzly's voice stays level, despite the fear crawling up his spine. A 10-year-old girl watches you murder someone. That's your plan. She's already watched worse. One more trauma won't change much. From her chair, Lily starts crying. Not scared crying, grief crying. The sound of a child who has learned that no matter how hard you hope, the monsters always win. Danny's voice cuts through the room, hoarse and desperate. Let her go. She's a child. Whatever you're going to do to us, let her go first. Can't do that. She's seen our faces, heard our names. Goes back to her aunt and tells everyone what happened here. Suddenly we're all accessories to murder. Dean shrugs. No, she stays till this is done. Maybe then we let her go. Haven't decided yet. Grizzly's mind cycles through options at speed. 6 against 1. No weapons. No backup. His brothers are at least 30 minutes out. Danny and Lily bound and useless as allies. The math is impossible. But impossible and hopeless aren't the same thing. You're right, Grizzly says, his voice shifting to something quieter, almost reasonable. I came here making trouble. Stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Carl's your family, and I disrespected that. Dean narrows his eyes. What's your angle? No angle. Just facts. I'm tired of fighting, tired of running. Been doing it 15 years. For what? He lets his shoulders drop. You want to beat me to death? Fine, but let the girl go first. She doesn't need to witness this. That's all I'm asking. The room goes quiet. 6 men watching Grizzly, trying to read if this is surrender or strategy. Dean studies him for a long moment, then nods to Marcus. Take the girl outside. Put her in the barn. She can't see from there. Marcus starts untying Lily's ropes. She's crying harder now, looking at Grizzly with complete betrayal in her working eye. You said you'd protect me. You promised. I know, darling. I'm sorry. Don't let them, please. But Marcus is already dragging her toward the door. She fights, screaming. But she's 10 years old and he's a grown man. The door opens. Cold rain and wind blow in. Then she's gone, her screams fading as he hauls her toward the barn. 5 men left in the room. Dean picks up a tire iron from beside the couch. Let's get this done. They come from 3 sides. Dean with the tire iron. Cole with a baseball bat. One of the strangers with bare fists. Grizzly doesn't go down without a fight. He blocks the first swing, dodges the second, gets his hands on Cole's bat and rips it free. Swings hard, catches someone in the ribs. Here's bone crack. But 5 on 1 is still 5 on 1. The tire iron catches him across the back. He stumbles. The bat, back in hostile hands, slams into his knee. He goes down. Boots start landing. Ribs, stomach, face. The world becomes pain and the taste of blood, and the absolute certainty that this is how it ends. Through the haze he hears Danny screaming. He hears men grunting with effort. He hears his own breath going ragged and shallow. Then he hears something else, distant at first, then closer, then unmistakable. Holly engines, 3 of them, coming fast. Dean hears it too. What the hell? The front window explodes inward as Trigger's bike crashes through it. Glass and wood spray everywhere. He doesn't even dismount, just drives straight into the living room. Engine roaring, rear tire spitting splinters. Men dive in every direction. Grizzly rolls as the bike passes inches from his head. Then the front door kicks open and Dutch and Crow are through it, armed with crowbars and chain and 15 years of road-earned violence. The fight that follows is brutal and mercifully short. Dean swings the tire iron at Dutch and catches only air. Dutch's crowbar finds Dean's knee and the big man goes down screaming. Cole tries to run and Crow clotheslines him flat. The two unknown men bolt for the back door and disappear into the rain. Let them go. They're not the mission. Triggers off his bike, cutting Danny loose with a pocket knife. You okay? Get Lily. Barn. Marcus took her. Trigger and Dutch are already moving. Crow stays with Grizzly, helping him sit up. Everything hurts. Ribs probably cracked. Face definitely broken. But he's breathing. Told you 90 minutes. Crow says. Been 90 minutes. Been 45. Couldn't wait. Good instincts. Outside. Shouting. A scream. Then silence. Trigger and Dutch return carrying Lily between them. Shaking but alive. Marcus is somewhere behind them. No longer a concern. Danny crawls across the wreckage of the living room and wraps her arms around Lily. They hold each other while rain pours through the shattered window and the Bennett family's secrets finally bleed out into the open. Grizzly tries to stand. Can't. Crow keeps him upright. We need to move. Cops will be here soon. Let them come, Grizzly says. His vision is going grey at the edges. Got nothing to hide anymore. You've got plenty to hide. This is still Potter County. Not after tonight. But Crow's right. They need to move. Need to get Danny and Lily somewhere safe before this becomes something worse. Dean's on the floor groaning. His knee bent in the wrong direction. Cole's unconscious. Two men are loose in the dark somewhere. Carl Bennett is still free. Everett Vale still has the full power of the DA's office. This isn't over. It's just entered a new phase. They load up. Danny behind Dutch. Lily behind Trigger. Grizzly barely holding on to Crow's waist. They leave Dean and Cole zip-tied with their own bootlaces. Leave the farmhouse looking like a war zone. Leave tire tracks and evidence and a message written in violence. You don't get to win this time. As they ride back toward Amarillo through freezing rain, Grizzly feels something shift inside him. For 15 years he's been running from Carolyn's death, trying to outpace guilt by staying in motion. But tonight, holding ground instead of running, fighting for someone else's daughter instead of just mourning his own, tonight feels different. Feels like maybe redemption isn't something you find at the end of the road. Maybe it's something you build with broken pieces in the middle of the storm. They're 5 miles from town when Grizzly's phone, somehow still intact in his vest pocket, starts buzzing. Crow pulls over, fishes it out, holds it up so Grizzly can see the screen. Sheriff Caldwell. Crow answers it on speaker. Harper, where are you? Caldwell sounds stressed. Heading back to town. Got Danny and Lily. They're safe. Good. Because you need to disappear. Right now. Everett Vale just issued arrest warrants for all 4 of you. Kidnapping, assault, attempted murder. Every cop in the Panhandle looking for Iron Outlaw's patches. We didn't kidnap anyone. The Bennetts did. I know that. But Vale's spinning it differently. Says you assaulted Dean and Cole, ransacked the family property, and took Danny and Lily against their will. Caldwell's voice drops. He's got Dean and Cole in the hospital now giving statements. In Potter County, their word wins. So what are you saying? I'm saying get those women somewhere safe, and then get the hell out of Texas. Vale's not stopping. The game is rigged, and you just proved you can't be controlled. The line goes dead. They stand in the rain on the roadside, 4 bikers and 2 traumatized women, and finally understand the full shape of what they've been fighting. It's not just Carl Bennett, not even his family. It's the entire system that exists to protect men like Kyle. The judges, the lawyers, the cops, the politicians, all bound together by blood and favors and the unspoken agreement that outsiders don't get to come in and change how things work. Lily's voice cuts through the rain, small and broken. What do we do now? Grizzly looks at her, 10 years old, soaking wet, everything she trusted torn apart in 72 hours. Now, he says quietly, we run. They don't make it 2 miles before the first set of headlights appears in Crow's mirror, red and blue strobes cutting through the rain like knives. County sheriff, maybe state police. The warrants are out and every cop in the Panhandle is hunting for Iron Outlaw's patches. Company. Crow shouts over his shoulder. Grizzly tightens his grip on Crow's waist, broken ribs screaming protest. How many? To cruisers coming fast, ahead, Dutch and Trigger already accelerating, their taillights swallowed by the rain. Lily's arms wrapped around Trigger's waist, her face pressed into his back. Danny clinging to Dutch like he's the only solid thing left in the world. Crow opens the throttle, and the Holly surges forward. 80 miles per hour, 90. The road is a black ribbon of standing water, and the bike wants to slide. But Crow keeps it straight through sheer years of experience and raw determination. The cruisers are gaining. We can't outrun them. Grizzly yells, "Watch me." They veer off onto a farm road at the last second, fishtailing through the turn, gravel spraying. The cruisers overshoot, brake lights flaring, losing precious seconds as they correct. By the time they double back, the bikes have vanished into the maze of rural roads that web across the Panhandle. Routes locals know by heart, routes outsiders get lost in. But the Iron Outlaws aren't locals. They're guessing, running blind through hostile territory with 2 civilians and enough legal trouble to bury them all for decades. The farm road becomes a dirt track, becomes barely a path. Mud grabs at the tires. Behind them, sirens fade, then surge again, playing hide and seek in the darkness. They're not escaping. They're just delaying. Trigger's brake light flares ahead. He stopped at a crossroads. 3 directions. None of them good. The 3 bikes idle in the rain. Exhaust steaming. Engines ticking. Where to? Trigger shouts. Back to town. Grizzly says, sliding off Crow's bike on shaky legs. We need Webb. He's our only shot at making this legal. Legal. Trigger's voice cracks. They just beat you half to death. And you want to play legal. I want to survive. Big difference. Danny speaks up from behind Dutch, her voice fraying. There's a church 3 miles east, St. Michael's. They do sanctuary sometimes. Hide people from ICE raids. Might hide us too. Sanctuary doesn't hold when the whole county wants you dead, Dutch says. Then what does? Tell me. Because running isn't working. Fighting isn't working. What's left? The question hangs in the rain-soaked air with sirens getting closer. Maybe 2 minutes out. Maybe less. Lily speaks. Her voice is small, but clear. We go public. Everyone turns to look at her. Like Danny said earlier, that journalist, Ray something. He has the story, the pictures, the recordings, all of it. Lily's face is pale in the bike headlights, but her expression is focused and determined. If he publishes before they arrest you, then everyone knows. The whole country. They can't make it disappear if everyone's watching. Kid's right, Crow says quietly. Can't bury truth in broad daylight. Caulfield's probably asleep, Dutch argues. And even if we reach him, publishing takes time. Editors, fact-checkers, legal review. He's not asleep. Danny's already pulling out her cracked phone. He texted me 2 hours ago asking for follow-up. Said his editor wants to run the story tomorrow morning, but needs more confirmation. Her fingers fly across the screen. I'm sending him everything. The kidnapping, the beating, the warrants. All of it. She hits send. Done. For 10 seconds. Nobody moves. Just standing in the rain, listening to engines idle and sirens wail, and the sound of a plan that's either brilliant or suicidal taking shape in the darkness. Then Grizzly's phone rings. He answers. Webb, tell me you've got good news. I've got terrible news that might lead to good news. Webb sounds like he's been running. Vale's warrants are garbage. Procedural errors all over them. Wrong dates. Missing signatures. Probable cause that won't survive basic scrutiny. He rushed them so fast, he made a mess of them. I can get them thrown out. But I need you alive and available to appear before a judge. We're on county roads north of town, running from cops. Danny and Lily are with us. Jesus. Okay. Listen carefully. There's an old grain silo off Route 60, 5 miles west of the city limits. White tower with a red warning light on top. Go there, hide. I'll call in every favor I have and get you a hearing with Judge Morrison first thing tomorrow morning. What if cops find us first? Then you'd better hope they follow procedure and don't shoot on sight. Webb's voice drops. I mean it, Harper. Vale is trying to make this end violently. Don't give him the excuse. They ride west toward the grain silo, taking back roads and farm paths, avoiding main highways where roadblocks are probably already forming. The rain intensifies, turning the night into a wall of water. Lily is shaking so hard behind Trigger that he keeps checking to make sure she's still there. Danny's face is pressed against Dutch's back, her breathing coming in ragged gasps that might be sobs. The silo rises out of the darkness like a massive ghost. 100 feet of white concrete, red warning light blinking through the rain at the top, covered in graffiti and rust. A perfect place to disappear, also a perfect place to get trapped. They park the bikes inside the loading bay and kill the engines. Sudden silence, except for rain hammering metal overhead and their own ragged breathing. Crow takes watch position near the entrance. Dutch finds Danny and Lily, a dry spot near the back with old tarps and wooden pallets. Not comfortable. Better than standing in the rain. Trigger paces like something caged. Grizzly leans against a concrete pillar and slides down until he's sitting. The adrenaline is wearing off and pain is flooding every space it leaves behind. Ribs, knee, face. Everything broken or bruised or both. You need a doctor, Danny says, kneeling beside him. I need about 10 things I'm not getting right now. Lily appears beside Danny, her face pale in the dim light filtering through broken windows. I'm sorry, she says. For what? For all of this. If I hadn't run to the diner that night, none of this would have happened. Grizzly opens his eyes and looks at her directly. If you hadn't run to the diner, you'd probably be dead. So would Danny. And men like your father would keep getting away with murder. Sometimes the right thing is the dangerous thing, but you're hurt. Been hurt before. I'll heal. What if you don't? He's quiet for a moment. Grizzly's been hurt for 15 years. Not in the places where bones break, in the places that matter more. And healing has felt impossible for so long, he stopped believing in it. Until a few days ago, when a broken little girl walked through a door and reminded him what he's supposed to be. Then I don't, he says quietly. But you will. That's what matters. Lily starts crying. Not the scared crying from before. Something deeper. Grief for everything stolen from her, mixed with gratitude for everything he's been given these last few days. Danny pulls her close, and they sit together in the ruins, while rain pounds overhead like the world is trying to wash them away. Trigger stops pacing long enough to light a cigarette. This is bad, Grizz, really bad. We're wanted for kidnapping and assault. Half the cops in Texas are looking for us, and we're sitting in a grain silo hoping a lawyer can fix it with paperwork. You got a better idea? Yeah, run. Leave Texas. Disappear into New Mexico and never look back. And leave Lily to what? Foster care. The same system that failed her for 4 years. She's got her aunt now. Patricia will fight for custody, while Vale is building a case that we're violent kidnappers who manipulated everything. Trish won't stand a chance. Carl gets Lily back within a month, and we're in prison unable to stop it. Grizzly shakes his head. No, we stay. We fight. We do it right. Dutch rejoins them, his expression grim. Just check the news. Local stations already reporting for armed bikers kidnapped a woman and child after assaulting multiple people at a private residence. They're using the words gang violence and domestic terrorism. They're making us the villains, Danny says. We are the villains, Crow calls from his watch position. To them, always have been. Differences. Now we've got witnesses who know better. Witnesses Vale will discredit or intimidate into silence. Trigger throws his cigarette down. This is a losing game. Then we change the game. The voice comes from the entrance. Everyone spins toward it, hands moving to pockets and belts. But it's not cops. It's Ray Caulfield. The journalist stands in the loading bay, soaked to the bone, camera bag over his shoulder. breathing like he ran several miles, which he probably did. "How the hell did you find us?" Grizzly asks. "Danny's text told me you were heading to a silo. I know this area. Did a story on abandoned grain facilities 3 years ago. This one was on my list." Caulfield steps inside and pulls out a tablet. "We need to talk fast. My editor just cleared me to run everything. The abuse, the cover-up, the corruption, all of it. Goes live in 4 hours. 6 a.m. edition. 4 hours. Dutch repeats. Best I could do. But here's the problem. Vale knows I'm about to publish. Someone at the paper tipped him. He's already started damage control, calling it fake news, claiming I'm working with you to run a smear campaign against a grieving father." Caulfield holds up his tablet, showing them a press release already posted on the DAS official website. "They're getting ahead of it," Grizzly says. "But I've got something Vale doesn't know about yet." Caulfield swipes to a new screen. Medical records, real ones, from when Sandra Bennett died. The hospital kept their own copies, separate from what went into the official investigation. Their records show injuries consistent with blunt force trauma, not a fall. Another swipe. "I also found Sandra's diary. Her sister Patricia had it. 4 years of entries documenting Carl's violence, her fear, her failed attempts to get help." Lily makes a small sound. "My mom wrote about it. Every night. She was documenting everything, in case something happened to her, in case she needed proof one day." Caulfield's expression softens. "Your mom was smart, Lily. She knew. She just ran out of time." The silo goes quiet except for rain, and the weight of 4 years of silence, finally finding a voice. Sandra Bennett reaching across time and death, finally getting to speak the truth that was buried alongside her. "Can you use it?" Danny asks, already transcribed key passages with Patricia's permission. But here's the problem. The diary and the medical records make the case airtight. Vale will have no defense, which means he's about to get desperate. And desperate men with power do terrible things. Caulfield's eyes move to Lily. He'll challenge the custody ruling, claim Morrison was biased, get a different judge to reverse the decision, and return Lily to Carl, while appeals wind through the courts. He can't do that. He can if he finds the right judge. And Vale has judges on speed dial. He could have a new ruling by 8 a.m., which means Lily needs to be somewhere legally protected before then. Caulfield pulls out his phone. "I've got contacts at the FBI field office in Dallas. They've been investigating Potter County corruption for 6 months. If I can get them to take Lily as a material witness in a federal case, Vale loses all access. That's a significant if," Dutch says. "It's the only if we've got." Caulfield starts dialing. "But I need you to hold together for 4 more hours, just until dawn. Once my story breaks, once federal agents get involved, the whole dynamic changes. Vale can't make people disappear when the spotlight's on him." He walks toward the entrance to get better signal, speaking in low, urgent tones. The bikers look at each other. "Do we trust him?" Trigger asks. "Don't have much choice." Grizzly replies. Time crawls. Minutes that feel like hours. Lily falls asleep against Danny's shoulder, despite everything, the cold, and the fear, and the impossible weight of the last 3 days. Danny strokes her hair absently, her own eyes distant and dark. Grizzly's phone buzzes. Text from Webb. Morrison, agreed to an emergency hearing at 8 a.m. Get to the courthouse alive, and I can kill Vale's warrants. Don't get there and you're fugitives forever. Your choice. 8 a.m. 4 hours from now. Might as well be 4 years. Caulfield returns, his expression complicated. FBI says they can't move without more evidence. But if your lawyer gets Vale's warrants thrown out, they'll open an official investigation into the Bennett family and Potter County. That's nothing. Trigger spits. We need protection now, not promises of future investigations. Then we protect ourselves. Grizzly pushes to his feet, ignoring the wave of nausea. We make it to 8 a.m. We show up at that courthouse. We do this legal and right. And if Vale's people find us first, then we make sure Lily's safe before they do. The words hang heavy. Everyone knows what he means. If it comes to it, The brothers will sacrifice themselves to buy Lily time to escape. It's not even a question. It's simply who they are. Outside, the rain finally stops. The sudden silence is almost worse. Now they can hear everything. Cars on distant highways, dogs barking, and closer, much closer, the unmistakable crunch of tires on gravel. Crow turns from his position. We've got company. Everyone moves instantly. Dutch hurries Danny and Lily toward the back of the silo, where a maintenance ladder leads up. Trigger pulls out a knife. Grizzly positions himself near Crow, his body protesting every movement. Two vehicles pull into the loading bay. Not police cruisers, pickup trucks, civilian, but the men who climb out of them are anything but civilian. 6 of them, hard faces, hunting rifles, moving with the coordination of people who have done this before. Leading them is Carl Bennett. He's drunk. That much is obvious from how he walks, how he holds the rifle, the wild and unmoored look in his eyes. But drunk doesn't mean harmless. Drunk means unpredictable, dangerous in a different way entirely. I know you're in there. Carl shouts into the silo's darkness. Saw your bikes. Saw the tracks. Nowhere left to run. Nobody responds. The bikers and Danny stay silent and still, watching from the shadows. You took my daughter. Carl's voice cracks. Turned her against me. Made her think I'm a monster. But I'm her father. I love her. I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. You killed your wife. Grizzly calls back from the darkness. Might as well take control of the conversation. That's not a mistake. That's murder. Carl's face twists. Sandra fell. It was an accident. I didn't mean. He stops. Takes a ragged breath. Doesn't matter now. She's gone. But Lily's still here. Still mine. And I'm taking her home. Over my dead body. That can be arranged. I've got 6 men. You've got what? 4 bikers and a waitress. Math doesn't work in your favor. Math never does. We show up anyway. One of Carl's men steps forward, older, weathered, the kind who spent his life resolving problems with violence. We don't want trouble, just want the girl. Hand her over and you will ride out. Nobody gets hurt. Can't do that. Then you're choosing the hard way. I'm choosing the right way. There's a difference. The standoff holds. 6 armed men at the entrance. 4 bikers and 2 women inside. And somewhere near the back, Lily hiding on a maintenance ladder, probably wishing she'd never run to that diner 3 nights ago. But she did run, and Grizzly promised to keep her safe. He's never broken a promise to a child. Not since Carolyn. Kyle. Grizzly's voice shifts to something gentler. You're drunk. Grief drunk. Rage drunk. About to do something you can't undo drunk. Put the rifle down. Go home. Let the lawyers work tomorrow morning. Lawyers already worked. Gave you my daughter. Turned the whole town against me. Carl's hands shake on the stock. I've got nothing left. You took everything. No, you lost everything when you raised your fist to a 6-year-old girl. When you killed the woman who loved you. When you spent 4 years making your daughter terrified to breathe wrong. Grizzly takes a step forward into the light. But you can stop now. You can let her go. Let her be safe. That's the only thing you've got left to give her. She's my blood. Blood doesn't give you ownership. It gives you responsibility. And you failed it. Carl's face crumbles. For 1 second, he looks like he might lower the rifle. Might actually walk away. Might choose something other than more destruction. But then his expression hardens again. Grief and rage and shame twisting into something irredeemable. If I can't have her, he says quietly, nobody can. He raises the rifle. Everything happens at once. Crow throws himself at Grizzly, knocking him sideways as the shot cracks. The bullet hits concrete where Grizzly was standing a half second before, spraying chips. Trigger lunges forward with his knife. Dutch sprints toward the ladder where Danny and Lily are climbing. Carl's men are raising their own weapons. The silo becomes chaos. Grizzly hits the ground hard, his broken ribs protesting. He rolls behind a concrete pillar as more shots echo off metal. Crow is beside him, breathing hard. You okay? Define okay. Still breathing. Barely. Trigger reaches Kyle, and they go down together. the rifle skidding away across the floor. They're rolling, punching, Trigger trying to end this before Carl's men can line up. But there are 6 of them and they're spreading out, surrounding. We need to move, Crow says. Now, where? They've got the exit. Then we make a new one. Crow pulls out his phone and dials. Pike. Yeah. Remember that favor you owe me. I'm calling it in. Grain silo off Route 60. Bring everyone. Bring everything. Come loud. He hangs up. Lubbock chapter is 20 minutes out. We don't have 20 minutes. Then we buy 20 minutes. They move through the silo's interior, using pillars and shadows for cover. Behind them, gunfire echoes. Ahead, Danny has gotten Lily to the top of the maintenance ladder. There's a broken window up there leading to the roof. If they can reach it, they can escape across the rooftop and down the exterior ladder on the far side. But between here and there is open ground and 6 men with guns. Dutch appears beside them. Trigger's pinned. Carl's got him in a chokehold. I can't get a clear path without getting shot. We split up. Grizzly decides. You and Crow make noise on the east side. Draw their fire. I'll get to Trigger. You can barely walk. Won't need to walk far. Just need to move fast for 30 seconds. That's suicidal. That's Tuesday. Before Dutch can argue further. Grizzly's moving. Limping. Stumbling. But moving. He grabs a length of rebar from the ground, rusty and heavy, and uses it as both weapon and walking support. The pain in his ribs is blinding, but he pushes through it, keeping his eyes on Trigger's position near the entrance, where Carl's still trying to choke him unconscious. Carl's men are focused on Dutch and Crow, who've started throwing debris from the far side of the silo, creating chaos and noise. 5 feet. Carl sees him coming, releases Trigger, reaches for his dropped rifle. Grizzly swings the rebar. It connects with Carl's reaching hand. Bones break. Carl screams and cradles his shattered fingers. Grizzly drops the rebar and grabs Trigger, holding him upright. Move. Now. They run. Or what passes for running when one man's half dead and the other's been choked half unconscious. Behind them, Carl's men are regrouping, firing shots that ricochet off metal. Ahead, the maintenance ladder looks impossibly far. Then Grizzly hears it, distant at first, then closer, then unmistakable. Holly engines, lots of them, coming fast. The Lubbock chapter arrives like thunder given form. 15 bikes roar into the loading bay, headlights blinding, engines drowning out everything else. Carl's men scatter, overwhelmed, outnumbered, suddenly realizing they picked a fight with people who know how to call for backup. Pike, Lubbock chapter president, kills his engine and dismounts. Heard you needed a ride. Little more than that. Grizzly manages. Then let's make it interesting. What follows isn't a fight. It's an evacuation under fire. A coordinated chaos where the Lubbock brothers form a wall between Carl's men and the ladder where Danny and Lily are escaping. Grizzly, Dutch, Crow, and Trigger make it to the roof. Danny and Lily are already there, shaking but alive. Below, Kyle is on his knees cradling his broken hand, crying or raging or both. His men have retreated to their trucks. The Lubbock chapter holds ground, engines running, ready, on the roof, under a pre-dawn grey sky. Lily looks at Grizzly. Is it over? Not yet, he says. But soon, the eastern horizon is beginning to lighten. 4 a.m. 4 hours since they ran. 4 hours until the hearing. They climb down the exterior ladder and mount up. The convoy rolls out, 20 bikes strong, leaving the grain silo and Carl Bennett's last desperate stand behind. They ride toward Amarillo as dawn breaks red and cold, every engine screaming defiance, every rider committed to seeing this through to whatever end waits at the courthouse. Because the Iron Outlaws ride, because a little girl needs them, because sometimes the only way out is straight through the fire. The convoy enters Amarillo city limits. At 6 a.m. the sun rises behind them, turning the road ahead into liquid gold. In 2 hours they'll face Vale and every corrupt gear turning in Potter County's machinery. 2 hours to prepare, 2 hours to hope that doing things right is enough. The courthouse rises ahead, massive and imposing against the morning sky. And at its steps, waiting in the cold dawnlight, stands an army, police cruisers, sheriff's department vehicles, state troopers, maybe 50 officers in total, all watching the approaching bikes with hands resting on weapons, all ready for whatever version of war they've been told to expect. At the top of the steps, Everett Vale himself, arms crossed, tailored suit, the patient, cold smile of a man who believes he's already won, and is simply waiting for everyone else to catch up. 20 Holly engines idle at the base of the courthouse steps, their collective rumble shaking the morning air. Grizzly can barely stay upright. His vision blurs at the edges from blood loss and 3 days of running on rage and black coffee. Lily's behind Danny on one of the Lubbock bikes, her small arms wrapped tight, her face pressed against Danny's back like she's trying to disappear into something safe. Vale descends 3 steps, casual and unhurried. "Mr. Harper, quite a cavalry you've brought. Heard you missed me." "I did. Got warrants with your name on them. Kidnapping, assault, evading arrest. The list grows every hour." Vale's smile sharpens. "But I'm a reasonable man. Turn over Danny Martinez and Lily Bennett. Surrender peacefully. And maybe we can discuss terms. We've got a hearing at 8 o'clock. Judge Morrison already agreed. Judge Morrison doesn't have jurisdiction over criminal matters. I do." He produces a folded paper from his jacket. "Valid warrants. Ironclad this time. And an emergency custody order signed by Judge Harlan at 5 this morning, returning Lily to her father, pending appeals of Morrison's ruling." The words land like fists. Lily makes a sound behind Danny. Danny's grip tightens on the handlebars. "Harlan's in your pocket," Grizzly says. "Harlan follows the law. Unlike you." Vale looks past Grizzly to where Lily is. "This ends one way. Harper, you in cuffs. The girl back with her family. The system restored to proper order. The only question is how much blood gets spilled before you accept it." Crow speaks. "Reality is a flexible concept, not in Potter County." "Then maybe Potter County needs new concepts." Vale's expression hardens. "You've got 30 seconds to surrender. After that, we come down and take what's ours." The courthouse steps feel like a stage set for tragedy. 50 armed men above, 20 bikers below, 2 women and a child caught between them. Vale has written every rule of this game, and he's about to win it. Unless the rules change. Ray Caulfield's sedan pulls up behind the bikes, tires on gravel. He emerges carrying his tablet, moving fast. "Vale," he shouts, walking up the steps. "Before you do something you'll regret. You need to see this." "I don't need to see anything except bikers in handcuffs." "Then you're going to love what happens in 90 seconds. Caulfield holds the tablet facing the courthouse. "My story just went live. National Wire. Front page. Potter County Doll covers up child abuse and possible murder. Complete with photographs, medical records, Sandra Bennett's diary entries, and recordings of Dean Bennett admitting the family has been shielding Carl 4 years." Vale's face drains white, then floods red. "That's slander. That's libel. I'll sue you into you'll try. But my lawyer vetted every word. It's all true. And you know it." Caulfield's smile is sharp as broken glass. "And here's the best part. The FBI field office in Dallas just opened an official investigation based on my reporting. They're requesting all files related to Sandra Bennett's death, all custody records involving Lily Bennett, and all campaign finance records showing connections between your office and the Bennett family." The courthouse steps go silent. Officers exchange glances. Some look confused. Some look concerned. A few look like they're quietly reconsidering which side they want to be on. When the floor finally gives way, Vale's jaw works. A federal investigation doesn't change the warrants, doesn't change custody. You're still fugitives, and that girl is still going back to her father. Actually, another voice calls out. "She's not." Marcus Webb emerges from the courthouse interior, walking down the steps past Vale with a stack of documents. "Just spoke with Judge Morrison. She's moving the custody hearing to right now. 6:15 a.m. emergency session, based on new evidence of witness intimidation and procedural violations in your warrant applications. Morrison can't do that. She doesn't have. She's a district court judge. She has exactly that authority. And she's waiting in her chambers for all parties to appear. Webb looks at Grizzly. That means you, Danny, Lily, anyone with relevant testimony. Now, Vale is trapped and he knows it. If he arrests the bikers now, Morrison will cite it as further evidence of intimidation. If he lets them pass, he loses his last chance at controlling what happens next. His face cycles through rage and calculation, searching for an angle that no longer exists. This isn't over, he says finally. Yeah, Grizzly replies. It is. You just haven't realized it yet. The officers part. Reluctantly, but they part. The bikers dismount and walk up the courthouse steps. Not running, not hurrying, moving with the patient certainty of people who have survived the worst and know the system has nothing scarier left to throw at them. Vale watches them pass with murder in his eyes. You think you won. You're outlaws. Nobody believes outlaws over me. Don't need everyone, Grizzly says without stopping. Just need one judge and a journalist with a deadline. Turns out that's enough. Inside, the marble hallways echo with footsteps and whispered conversations. Morrison's chambers are on the second floor. The judge herself waits inside, already robed, her face carved from something harder than granite. She takes in the room. The battered bikers, the traumatized waitress, the 10-year-old girl, the lawyer who looks like he hasn't slept since the week before last. Mr. Harper, Morrison says, you look like you got hit by a truck. Close. 6 men with tire irons and baseball bats. At the Bennett family ranch, after they kidnapped Ms. Martinez and Miss Bennett from a grocery store parking lot. Yes, Your Honor. Morrison removes her glasses and sets them on the desk with deliberate care. I've been a judge for 22 years. Seen a lot of ugly cases. But this one... She pauses, shakes her head. A little girl spends 4 years being beaten by the man who murdered her mother. An entire town looks the other way. And when outsiders finally step in to help, the system tries to punish them for it. Her voice goes hard. Not in my courtroom. She picks up Vale's emergency custody order, reads it once, then tears it cleanly in half. Judge Harlan signed this at 5A.m. Based on Vale's representations that you were dangerous criminals, holding the child against her will. But Caulfield's reporting and Sheriff Caldwell's supplemental statement tell a very different story. The Bennett family kidnapped Ms. Martinez and Miss Bennett. You rescued them. Harlan's order is based on false information, and I'm vacating it immediately. Lily makes a sound that's half sob and half gasp. Danny squeezes her hand. Furthermore, I'm granting emergency permanent custody to Patricia Morgan, Miss Bennett's maternal aunt, pending full hearings. Carl Bennett's parental rights are suspended indefinitely. He's not to contact, approach, or communicate with his daughter in any way. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Your Honor, Webb says carefully. There's still the matter of Mr. Vale's criminal warrants against my clients. Yes. About those, Morrison pulls up something on her computer. Reads, frowns. These warrants were issued at 4 a.m. based on statements from Dean and Cole Bennett, both of whom are currently under investigation themselves. No independent witnesses, no physical evidence, no probable cause that would survive any legitimate review. She looks up. Mr. Harper, did you kidnap anyone? No, Your Honor. Did you assault anyone except in self-defense? No, Your Honor. Good enough for me. Warrants dismissed. Mr. Vale can refile if he develops actual evidence. But something tells me he's going to be too busy defending himself to worrying about prosecuting you. Morrison closes her laptop. Mr. Vale can refile if he develops actual evidence. But something tells me he's going to be too busy defending himself. The room releases a collective breath. Trigger actually laughs, sharp and bitter and relieved all at once. Dutch leans against the wall like his legs just gave out. Crow's hands unclench, slowly, one finger at a time. Grizzly looks at Lily. She's staring at Morrison like the judge is speaking a language she desperately wants to learn. The language of adults who keep their word. Adults who protect instead of harm. Double quotes Miss Bennet. Morrison says gently, "Do you understand what just happened?" Lily nods slowly. "You're going to live with your Aunt Patricia. Your father cannot hurt you anymore. You're safe. For how long?" Lily's voice is very small. "For as long as it takes. Years, probably. Maybe forever." Morrison's expression softens. "I know you don't have any reason to trust adults right now. We failed you spectacularly. But I promise you, and I don't make promises lightly, you will never go back to that house. Never." Lily starts crying then. Not terror. Release. 4 years of fear draining all at once, leaving her hollow and exhausted and finally able to breathe without waiting for the next blow to fall. Danny wraps her arms around the girl. Morrison turns to give them privacy. Webb steps outside to call Patricia. Caulfield types furiously, updating his story in real time. Grizzly slides down the wall until he's sitting on the floor, his body finally surrendering. Crow crouches beside him. "You need a hospital." After what? "You're bleeding internally. I can see it. After I know she's actually with family, not just legally safe on paper." Crow sighs and sits down beside him, shoulder to shoulder, the way brothers do when words are insufficient. Patricia Morgan arrives 45 minutes later, running up the courthouse steps like the building itself is on fire. Webb meets her and brings her in. When Lily sees her aunt, she breaks away from Danny and runs into Patricia's arms with the kind of desperate relief that only comes from finally finding someone who isn't going to let go. They stand. They're in Morrison's chambers, holding each other while Patricia cries and whispers apologies and promises. And Lily just holds on like her aunt is the only solid ground in a world that's been quicksand for years. "I'm sorry," Patricia keeps saying. "I'm so sorry I didn't fight harder. I should have. You're here now," Lily says into her shoulder. That's what matters. Morrison handles the formal custody transfer with efficient compassion, signing documents that put Patricia's name where Carl's used to be. Just paperwork. But paperwork matters when it's the wall between a survivor and the person trying to destroy her. By 8 a.m. It's done. Lily is legally Patricia's. The warrants are dismissed. Vale's corruption is front-page news. Carl Bennett sits in a jail cell waiting for murder charges. Dean and Cole face kidnapping charges. The entire Bennett family machine is coming apart. Outside Morrison's chambers, the Lubbock chapter waits. Pike clasps Grizzly's hand. "Need us for anything else?" "Need you to go home. You've already done more than enough." That's what brothers are for. Pike looks at Lily, who's still holding Patricia's hand. "Kid's going to be okay. She's got a chance now. More than she had 3 days ago." Pike nods. Then it was worth it. He and the Lubbock brothers file out, their boots echoing down the marble hallway, their presence fading but not forgotten. 20 men who showed up because another chapter called. No questions, no hesitation, just loyalty. In the courthouse lobby, Lily turns to Grizzly. "You're leaving." "Not a question. Eventually. Got some things to handle first." "When?" "Don't know yet." "Will you come back?" Grizzly kneels down, his body protesting every degree of the movement, pulls the lucky quarter from his vest pocket. "You gave me this to keep safe, so I'd have a reason to come back. Do you have to?" "A promise is a promise." Lily takes the quarter carefully, like it's made of glass. "My mom used to say people who make promises they don't keep are worse than people who never promise at all. Your mom was right. So you'll really come back?" "When you need me, I'll be there. Might not be tomorrow, might not be next month. But you need me, you call. I'll come." Lily thinks about this, then nods slowly. "Okay." Patricia extends her hand. "I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep her safe, with my life. That's all anyone can promise." They leave together, Patricia and Lily and Danny, walking toward the parking lot where Patricia's car waits. Grizzly watches from the courthouse steps as they drive away, Lily's face visible in the back window, getting smaller and smaller until the car turns a corner and she's simply gone. Into a normal life, into safety, into the chance to be a kid again. That's the whole point. That's everything they did this for. But it still feels like losing something. She be okay. Dutch says quietly, I know. You did good, Grizz. We did good. All of us. Trigger lights a cigarette, hands shaking slightly. So what now? Now we get Grizzly to a hospital before he dies, Crow says flatly. What comes next turns out to be 3 days in Amarillo General, while doctors repair broken ribs, drain internal bleeding, and tell Grizzly he's lucky to be alive. He doesn't feel lucky. He feels tired. Bone deep, soul tired. The kind that sleep doesn't touch. His brothers take shifts. Crow handles the first night, sitting in the visitor's chair, reading motorcycle magazines, occasionally glancing over to confirm Grizzly is still breathing. Dutch takes the second night, quieter, working on club paperwork, making calls to keep their lives running while they're stuck in Texas. Trigger takes the third night, restless and uncomfortable in hospitals, but staying anyway, because that's what brothers do. On the fourth day, Grizzly is discharged with prescriptions he won't fill and instructions he won't follow. They ride back to the motel, their home base for 5 days now, and collapse on the beds like soldiers after a war that had no victory parade. How long we staying? Trigger asks the ceiling. Till we're sure, Grizzly says. Sure of what? That it sticks. That Vale doesn't find another angle. That Lily stays safe. Could be weeks. Then it's weeks. It isn't weeks. It's 9 days. 9 days of watching news reports on Potter County's corruption investigation unfold. 9 days of watching Vale get suspended from the DA's office, pending federal review. 9 days of watching Carl Bennett get formally charged with second-degree murder in Sandra Bennett's death based on the new evidence. 9 days of watching Lily and Patricia build something that looks, from the outside, like family. They visit once. Day 7. Bringing groceries and conversation and the kind of awkward kindness that happens when warriors try to be domestic. Patricia's house is small and warm and full of light. Nothing like the darkness Lily escaped. The girl's face is healing. The swelling is gone. The bruises fading from purple to yellow to memory. She shows them her new room with pink walls and stuffed animals on the bed, and a bookshelf Patricia filled with stories she's never read. Normal kid things. Safe kid things. Aunt Trish says, I can get a cat. Lily says, sitting on her bed, if I want one, you want one. Grizzly asks, I don't know. Never had a pet before. Dad said they were too much work. She pauses. But that was Dad. And I don't have to listen to him anymore. No, you don't. Feels weird. Being allowed to want things. It'll feel less weird eventually. How do you know? Because I've been there. Different circumstances. Same damage. Takes time. But it gets better. Lily studies him. You still hurt about your daughter? The question catches him off guard. She must have overheard it at some point and filed it away. Yeah, he says honestly. Every day. Does it get better? It gets different. Doesn't hurt less. But you learn to carry it better. I don't want to carry it at all. I know. But you will anyway. That's part of surviving. He meets her eyes. But you get to choose what else you carry alongside it. Good memories. Good people. Good things that balance out the weight of the bad. Like stuffed animals and cats. Exactly like that. She smiles. Small and uncertain and real. The first genuine smile he's seen from her. It makes the broken ribs and sleepless nights and every mile of dangerous road worth it. On day 9, Sheriff Caldwell shows up at the motel. The 4 bikers are outside working on their bikes, preparing for the road that's been calling them back. Caldwell is in civilian clothes, no badge visible, but still carrying himself like a cop. Got a minute? He asks Grizzly. They walk toward the motel's abandoned pool, brown water and dead leaves. Caldwell lights a cigarette and offers one to Grizzly, who takes it. They smoke in silence. Wanted to thank you, Caldwell says finally, for doing what I should have done years ago. You helped when it counted. I helped at the end. You carried the weight. Looking the other way is easy. Intervening is hard. Most people choose easy. That's supposed to make me feel better. Supposed to explain why they do it. Caldwell nods slowly. Vale's finished. Suspended pending criminal investigation. Lieutenant Morgan retired suddenly. Judge Harlan's facing a review board. Whole county's turning over rocks and not liking what's underneath. He flicks ash into the dead pool. Some of that ugliness has my name on it. Things I didn't do. Cases I filed away instead of pursuing. You going to resign? Probably should. But if I do, the next sheriff might be someone who actually liked how things were. Caldwell looks at Grizzly. So I'm staying. Trying to fix what I can. Not sure if that's redemption or just stubbornness. Sometimes they're the same thing. They finish their cigarettes. Caldwell crushes under his boot. You leaving soon? Tomorrow, probably. Nothing keeping us here anymore. Kid's going to miss you. She be fine. Got her aunt. Got Danny checking on her. Got a whole town that's finally paying attention. Grizzly drops his cigarette and grinds it out. She doesn't need outlaws. She needs normal, maybe. But she remember who showed up when normal failed her. They shake hands. Caldwell drives off. Grizzly returns to the bikes where his brothers are waiting. Was that closure? Trig asks. Closest we get. Good. Because I'm ready to leave this town in the rear view. Tomorrow. First light. They spend their last night in Amarillo at Mel's Diner. Feels right. The place where this all started. Where a little girl walked through the door and changed everything. Danny's working the night shift. When the bikers walk in, she hugs each of them hard enough to crack the ribs Grizzly just had repaired. You're leaving, she says. Yeah. I figured. You've got the look. What look? The look people get when they've done what they came to do and the road is calling them back. She pours coffee without asking. Lily asked me to give you something. She pulls an envelope from her apron pocket. Plain white. Lily's name written on the front in a child's careful hand. Grizzly opens it. Inside is a drawing, crayon on construction paper, for stick figures on motorcycles. One small stick figure holding a bigger stick figure's hand. The sun overhead, yellow and bright. Words at the bottom in uneven letters. Thank you for keeping your promise. Grizzly stares at it for a long moment and feels something crack in his chest that has been calcified for 15 years. Not healing. Just finally starting to believe that healing might actually be possible. She okay? He asks Danny. She's getting there. Has nightmares. Doesn't talk much about before. But she's eating, sleeping, playing with the neighbor's cat. Danny refills cups. You know what she told me yesterday? She said she never thought grown-ups could be safe. Thought they all hurt you eventually. But you proved her wrong. We just didn't hurt her. That's a pretty low bar, maybe. But it's a bar her own father couldn't clear. Sometimes the bare minimum is revolutionary. They eat breakfast food at midnight. Eggs and hash browns and toast that tastes like comfort and endings. The diner is mostly empty. A few truckers at the counter. An old couple in a corner booth. Normal people living normal lives in a town that's slowly learning to be better. At 2 a.m. they pay the check and leave a tip large enough to make Danny's eyes fill. She walks them to the door and hugs them again. You ever come through Amarillo? We know where to find you. Grizzly finishes. You better. They ride back to the motel under stars, so bright they look fabricated. The cold feels clean and clarifying. The kind of cold that reminds you you're alive. At the motel, they pack their few belongings. Clothes, toiletries, 9 days compressed into saddlebags. Grizzly sits on the edge of the bed and looks at Lily's drawing one more time. 4 bikers, 1 little girl. The sun shining down on all of them. Such a simple picture, such a complicated truth underneath it. He folds it carefully and places it in his vest pocket. Right over his heart. Morning comes grey and cold. They're on their bikes by 6 a.m. Engines rumbling. Breath coasting in frozen air. The motel manager waves from the office window. They wave back. Then they're rolling, following Route 66 west out of Amarillo, leaving behind a town that will never forget them, even if it sometimes wishes it could. They ride through the Texas Panhandle as the sun climbs behind them, painting the road ahead in gold and shadow. They don't talk. They don't need to. The engines say everything that matters. We survived. We protected. We kept faith. Somewhere behind them, Lily is waking up in a safe house with a loving aunt and a future that isn't predetermined by violence. Somewhere behind them, a corrupt system is being dismantled piece by piece, slowly and imperfectly, but genuinely. And ahead of them, the road stretches endless and open, full of possibility and purpose and the next broken thing that needs fixing. Because that's who they are. That's what they do. They're not heroes. Heroes get parades and medals and statues in public squares. These are just scarred men on old motorcycles, carrying old wounds, trying to prevent new ones. Outlaws with a code. Warriors without a formal war. Protectors working in the margins between what's legal and what's right. At the New Mexico border, Grizzly pulls over. The others follow. They kill their engines and stand on the roadside, looking back at Texas, the state that tried to destroy them and couldn't. Feel different. Dutch asks, feel tired. Grizzly admits, good tired or bad tired. Earn tired. Crow lights a cigarette. We're going to talk about what happened back there. What's to talk about? We helped a kid, made some enemies, didn't die. Pretty standard week. Standard. Trigger laughs. Right. Just another Tuesday. It felt bigger than that, Crow says quietly. Felt like something changed. Maybe it did. Maybe watching Lily learn to trust again taught them something about their own capacity to heal. Maybe keeping a promise to a child helped Grizzly forgive himself for failing his own daughter. Maybe standing ground instead of running proved they're more than just ghosts passing through other people's lives. Or maybe it's simpler than all of that. Maybe they just did the right thing and that's enough. Maybe that's everything. We should go, Dutch says. Where are we headed? Trigger asks. Grizzly pulls out his phone and reads a message from an Iron Outlaws chapter in New Mexico. Got a situation here. Nothing urgent, but could use experienced eyes. He shows it to his brothers. They read it, nod. Guess that answers that, Crow says. They mount up. Fire engines that have carried them thousands of miles and will carry them thousands more. The road calls and they answer, because that's what they've always done and what they'll keep doing until the road stops calling, as they stop being able to answer. But before he rides, Grizzly takes one last look east toward Amarillo, thinks about a little girl with a lucky quarter and a crayon drawing and a future that's finally hers to shape, thinks about promises kept, debts paid, redemption that arrives in pieces instead of all at once. Then he revs his engine. His brothers answer in chorus, and 4 Iron Outlaws ride west into whatever comes next, leaving behind a trail of exhaust and echoes and one small life permanently changed for the better. The sun climbs higher. The road stretches on dot, and somewhere in Texas, Lily Bennett wakes up safe for the 10th morning in a row, each one adding another brick to the foundation of a life that is finally, truly hers. She goes to the window and looks out at the street. No motorcycles. They're long gone, headed toward their next fight, their next rescue, their next impossible promise. But she knows they existed, knows they came when nobody else would, knows that somewhere out there, 4 scarred men are riding dangerous roads and protecting people who have nowhere else to turn. She touches the lucky quarter in her pocket, and she believes, maybe for the first time, that the world holds more protectors than predators, that good people exist even when they look dangerous, that promises can be kept even when keeping them costs everything. She turns from the window, goes to breakfast, eats without fear, talks to her aunt without flinching, exists in a space where being a child is actually possible again. And miles away, moving west through desert morning light, Grizzly rides with Lily's drawing over his heart and Carolyn's memory Finally it rests somewhere quieter in his mind. The road has taken so much from him, but today, just for today, it gave something back. The Iron Outlaws disappear over the horizon, 4 silhouettes against the rising sun, their engines fading, but never completely gone. Somewhere ahead, someone else needs help. Somewhere ahead, another wrong sits waiting to be made right. And somewhere ahead, the road continues. It always continues. Forever.